Ina Vernikoff, at city council level, at assembly level, at every state level. We did this with the help of Democrats on election day. So don't just get your family and your friends to come out and vote. Engage your neighbors and turn to them and ask them, because they may be so down the path of saying, oh, I'm a Democrat. I can't talk to you, Steve. You're a Republican. David, I don't know. We're different. Before we're Democrats, before we're Republicans, before we're conservatives, we're all New Yorkers. Do you know any New Yorker that likes crime? Do you know any New Yorker that supports bail reform, which is a pro-criminal position that floods our streets with dangerous people? Do you know any real Democrat that tells you it's wonderful that homeless people are living on the streets of New York City? The answer is no. The answer is the people that want to argue with us, they're not really Democrats. They're progressives. And Linda, I said this a few days ago at an event. Here's the problem with progressives. There is no progress whatsoever. It is a very bad description. What they are socialists trying to destroy our democracy, to attack what we believe in. We will gather together. We will turn to friends and family and neighbors. We will form little clubs. We will go to bigger clubs. And we will go out like some amazing people did, walking the streets, getting signatures on petitions. That's how it's done. People went out and got proxies. That's how it's done. Our voice cannot just be before a camera or in a building. Our voice has to be heard. We have to multiply it, and we can do it. It has been done. And here's the other side of what we're fighting for. And I know you know what we're fighting for because we're all on the same page. Never let subtle differences affect who we are. At the moment, the world we're living in is trying to do something that none of us can permit. The world we're living in, it's not just the state, by the way, it is the world. You know what they're doing? They're trying to normalize hatred. They're trying to turn anti-Semitism and convince you that it's okay. We must be careful. We must be guarded. It hides. They try to use words that try to hide their intent. It's not just one group, it's not just one organization. If we don't protect our brothers and sisters today, and we allow hatred to be normalized, if we allow a blanket okay for anti-Semitism, then I want to ask you this question. David, Linda, Martha, everyone in this room, I have a question for you. Who do you think is next, Heshi? Once they start this campaign of hatred, what's the end of their campaign? Just sound bites? No. It's an attack on our brothers and sisters. And we will be next. That is the reality. We have to stick together and remember, all hatred is unacceptable. We cannot let anyone say anything. Wherever they are, wherever they gather, if they gather to dishonor our flag, the answer is no. If they gather to attack us, the answer is no. We will gather in honor, we will gather in integrity, and we will follow the law, because that's what we do. But our voice will never be silent. Silence is the conduit for terrible things to happen. So again, I want to say to you, 2024 is a year where we have an amazing opportunity. We can get together, we can tell our friends, neighbors, cousins, Ethel down the hallway, Martha around the corner, not you, but another Martha, but you too. Everyone on our block and our friends, where we go to have a coffee. Don't just let them say, what can I do? You know, I'm a Democrat, congratulations. I'm a Republican, but we're New Yorkers. Our kids go to the same school together. They walk down to the same convenience store together. Let's talk about this person running for office. He or she, they're a good person. Let's get behind them. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that we return someone to office simply because they are in office. That means we turn around and we look at their voting record and we see who's responsible. We've had recently incredibly responsible, successful people that have held the line of responsibility and decency. And they were once Democrats. And they said, you know what, in the great words of President Ronald Reagan, an amazing human being and a true leader, a symbol of America's greatness, President Reagan said beautiful words. I did not leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. So we have an opportunity. Please, please don't be silent. Speak. Whether you have a radio show or you only have 2 neighbors, speak, communicate, and tell them, I will not go to this place. They're anti-Semitic. I will not go to this place. They're against parental rights. We have an option. We have to hold strong, because if we lose our democracy, we lost everything. Steve and I won't be discussing election results anymore. We won't be discussing which Republican won, which Democrat won, where we're going in 2 years. We're going to a bad place if we allow democracy to go down the slippery slope. Remember, this term should not exist in our language. What is a Democrat socialist? What is a Democrat socialist? What does that Glenn, what does that mean exactly? What is a Democrat socialist? Are they for our freedoms?
No.
Are they for our democracy? Are they for veterans? No. So where we are, and we know we're right, we have to go out. If each of us gets 1 or 2 people to join us in the conversation, we win. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak up. Vote by any method available. If it means you're going to Idaho to see your cousin, use the paper. Prepare for it. There are many days to vote. The only bad thing is not to vote. Go out, vote. We have a responsibility to each other, and it is a huge honor for me to be the chairman of the Brooklyn Republican Party. And I make only one promise. I will never be silent. I will speak up against hatred. I will speak up at every opportunity I have, no matter where I am, about what is right. I love law enforcement. We have so many unbelievable law enforcement agencies in our beautiful city. And I will end with this note, but we have to keep it that way. Someone very dear to me, and a great man, ended every single conversation and speech. His name was Senator Marty Golden, and he always ended this way, and I embrace these words so much. We are truly blessed to live in the greatest city, in the greatest state, in the greatest country in the world. But that means we have to keep it that way. Thank you very much for the honor of speaking to you.
Any questions for Richie? Any questions from the audience? No. Richie, I'll have a question.
Please.
Just get me at the camera.
Please. Give me 1 second
Sure,
to take a sip of water, please.
Yeah. So,
I would have asked, but he would have thrown something at me.
yeah, be nice, be nice.
He loves me.
Well, we all love you, actually. But anyway, they're coming for me now. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, in Bay Ridge, where
Yes.
we have the Andrew Granada's seat,
Yes.
what is our, do we have a path to victory in that gerrymandered district? Or does that look like a district that just gets decimated?
Well, Glenn, let me be very clear about this. No matter what happens on any given election day with the actual numbers, we will not lay down, we will not surrender. In particular, in Senator Granada's seat, that area has been changed to not just the Bay Ridge and a tiny piece of Diker. That area has been extended to include all of Park Slope, and I believe a small part of Carroll Gardens, am I correct? So we have a tremendous registered voter disadvantage. However, we're not just sitting down and waving our hands. We will, and I'm currently in the process, I'm not ready to say right now, but I'm in the process of interviewing people for that position. because the person who runs for the New York State Senate against Senator Granardis will be running side by side with an amazing person, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, who's always been the voice of common sense and fiscal responsibility. They'll also be running with our other ticket in the area, Tanusis on one end, Alec Brooke-Krasny on the other. So that person, whoever it is that's running against Andrew, will have a pivotal position. Anything is possible if we go out and get others that are frustrated to join us. We're not asking them to switch to become Republicans or Tea Party or conservative. We're simply saying to them, there's a way for your frustration to be registered, to have a path to responsible representation. So the answer is, Glenn, we are on it, we're aware of it. It has made it much more difficult based on the representative voter registration of Park Slope and the tip of Carroll Gardens. But that is, at this moment, the reality that we have to deal with.
Now, the next question I
Can I
have
ask
is,
you a question?
Give me one moment, please.
with Justin Brennan
Yes.
doing, well, supposedly, but we all know, his little shenanigans with Catherine Qatari and trying to say she's running on the write-in ballot and all that. Is there anything legally that could be done, or is there any way of saying this type of tactic is...
That is being explored. I am not free to comment on that at this moment. However, I want to make it clear to everyone that Kathy Qatari came out and fully endorsed Ari Kagan. Kathy Qatari was not asking for anyone to sign her name as a write-in candidate. She fully endorsed him. That reality is out there for someone to find on some internet source.
Right.
And the individuals that put out these fake flyers, they went under the name of Verrazano Victory Republicans. That has nothing to do with any Republican organization, nothing to do with us, so that matter is under investigation.
Okay. Any other questions?
Pesci.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As you know, my campaign,
Yes.
which I love you, but you guys didn't support me. We registered over 500 new Republicans in my district. My district, actually, even though you guys gave the Wilson Pakula out, we came in with the most Republican votes. My district is actually Republican. We came in, if I would have been on the ballot, which I did get the most independent, we would have had a Republican candidate. So my question is simple, Mr. Chairman. Will we stop giving the Wilson Pakula Act out unless they run as a Republican? Or will we still consider, as you now are the Republican
I am.
Brooklyn chairman,
I am.
not to allow, because we could take 2 or 3 more seats of city council seats, we can take over that city council in the next 2 years.
There are 51 New York City Council
You only
members
need
right
26 votes, and 15 of them would really control the city council.
We have some Democrats with us in Councilman Borelli's Common Sense Caucus. I, Heshi, previously as the Executive Director, Vice Chair, and currently as the Chairman, I don't like to make absolute statements. With regard to the support of Democrats, I'll say to you like this. I won't discuss your actual situation, your individual situation, but if we have an individual that has proven themselves by their voting record, I'm not saying who and I'm not saying what district, but if we have an individual that has repeatedly been responsible and voted with us, with our group, voted for the right laws and against what I describe as lunacy, then we have to consider the possibility of supporting the individual. Is that a blanket policy? Absolutely not. But we will take that on a case-by-case, district-by-district basis. There is no absolute word under my leadership. If you have something that you have in mind that you want to do, we will have something, you and I. It's called a conversation. People know we've had many in the past. But again, don't want to turn our borough and our city into a personal matter. Our goal is to win seats. Now, having said that, remember what I said to you before. We are not fighting Democrats. We are fighting irresponsible office holders who pretend to be Democrats, who are progressives and who are socialists. So if there comes, Heshi, and let's remove you from this equation. We have a district. We have someone representing that district. They have been incredibly in line with our conservative values, and their voting record supports that. I will consider what I need to consider, but nothing is absolute. Yes or no. Every case will be handled individually. Was I fair to you there with your answer, with the answer I gave you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, by the way, hold on. Before you go any further, and I get just enough, too much, Heshi, let me say to you, thank you for registering these people, and I also want to
register another 1,000 in the next year.
And I also want to say to you, whatever disagreements, that's absolutely, whatever disagreements we've had, whatever errors have been made on your end, whatever people in my party may have had difficulties with you, I do want to bring to surface one thing. You, forget about politics for 1 second, you as an individual, Heshi, have had an incredible record of philanthropic work in your community. You've had an amazing record of extending your hand to help everyone. And I have to tell you, in the middle of a disagreement, you still offer to help. So that is something I, as a New Yorker, say to you, thank you, Heshi. Again, everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask for a 1-minute speech.
Okay.
I'd like to
Yeah.
outline my ideas for helping the Republican Party, which I believe is within the grassroots organizations here. Now, you do the math, you find out that there's 5.5 million registered voters in New York City. If one-fifth of them are Republicans, and I take the subway and I see all of these people go on their way to their private sector jobs, and what the hell are they voting Democrat for? There's a lot of them out there. They don't show up for elections. Our mayoral election, 14.5% of the voters showed up. Our city council was 12.
Less than 13% in total.
They're out there. Now, if one-fifth of them are Republicans, that's 1-point-something million. That's enough to take any election. Now, we are in New York City, the biggest city in the country. We command 15 congressional seats. I say we put organizations like this into every one of those districts. It's not going to happen overnight, but we need to challenge the Jerry Nadlers, the AOCs, the Hakeem Jeffries. We got to bring the fight right into their backyards. And maybe we might fail, but then again, maybe we might win.
And that's what Curtis is.
This is what we should move toward: an organization and branching out. We start with an organization, then we start getting leaders to go into Brownsville, to go into the Bronx, to go into Staten, to go fill New York with each congressional district with grassroots organizations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have absolutely no opposition to what Patrick said, but I must be very clear about this as the chairman. We know, because we have the data, we have the experience in the field, we know what areas are potentially open. We know what areas are vulnerable. We do not and should not place valuable resources into particular races that we absolutely know without a doubt that the individual that we'll be facing has an overwhelming likelihood of re-election, where we could put resources and great effort into areas where we can flip the seats, as we did a year and a couple months ago when we put in and we removed from office assembly members that have been there several decades. So we can do this, Patrick, but we can't just do it across the board.
May I counter with each individual organization?
Yes.
Should have a formula for being self-sustaining?
Yes.
So that we can weather these losses in elections. We're still there.
Okay.
And we can continue our work for the next election.
I agree completely. Absolutely. It's about places like this. What is being done today is correct.